Hi, this is Vicki from Grandma B's Junk Journals. Thanks for stopping by my channel. Today we're going to do a little collage project from a vintage envelope. I pick these up wherever I see them. This batch here I think I just got from an auction. There was a bag of them, but I also like to look for them in antique shops or yard sales, anywhere that I might be able to find them, and it's usually at the auctions that I find these. And so today I picked out just a couple of them, and I made this little journal pocket. I will be able to glue this into a journal, and then I left the original letter in here, and this letter was addressed to Miss Teresa Elmar, and it has a letter right inside, and it was February 27th, 1945. So I'm leaving that right in the pocket. I tore a little piece of the corner out, and then I inked all of the edges up, so that way you could see the letter peeking out. Now this envelope itself has a ton of different interesting things on it. And then all I did was add a few little things to make a little cluster collage here. And then this is going to be great to include in a journal. Now you could glue this in, but you could also just clip it, and then that way you can move it around. So that's what we're going to do today. And I know a lot of you have these kind of envelopes from your thrifting, but you could also just use a regular envelope. And if you had some stamps, you could just stamp these different things on there. You could, tear it and ink it up. So it wouldn't have to be vintage, but you could make it look vintage just by adding a few different things on it. So there is an idea for you. And so what we're going to do is go ahead and start working on this. And it's a very quick project. I just chose one of these envelopes, and this is addressed to the Miss Teresa here from the other envelope, and it has a lot of interesting things on it already. Now this end is opened, and it does have, let's see, what does it have here? This was March 6, 1944, and just a letter addressed to her, and that is going to stay right in here. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tear, and I just hate to do that because I love seeing this and I love seeing this. So let's see, what do I want to get rid of? Well, I think I'm going to keep this part. I like that little peak out on this side, so as much as I didn't want to do that, I did anyways. So that's it. I wanted the little peaky open right there. And then before we do anything else, I'm going to just go ahead and ink up the outside. This is Distress Oxide, and it's brushed corduroy. And then I'm just going to ink it up a little bit more. I mean, it already looks distressed, but go ahead and put a little bit more ink on it. And then I want this inked up, and you have to be very careful because sometimes those old papers and envelopes they tear very easy. Okay, so then I'm just going to put that letter right back in here. Okay, now for this collage, I just used a little piece of textbook paper here. I punched out a circle from one of these vintage playing cards, and then I have my little sticker girl, and you can get the stickers. I may have got these from Temu. You can get them from Amazon. I'm sure there's tons of different places out there. That's just where I got mine. The card set, this was I just picked it up from thrifting, and let's see, and then I just put a little a little gem here, and that's it. And I love the way this looks. And so we're gonna make this one just as simple. Now I have a big drawer full of plain cards. I always pick these up when I'm thrifting. You know, you can make tags and pockets and cut them up and use them, you know, fussy cut them, use them for ephemera, just tons of different things. So that's what I've done. I've chosen a couple of these already. And so this is, I chose this card. This is going to be the background. And I don't really like the pear bowl here. So I'm just going to tear a little bit of that up, out just like that. And then I love this right here, so I'm going to be mindful not to cover that up much. And here I used my 1 3/4 circle punch, but you could definitely use whatever you have. Any kind of shape, you could cut the shape out with scissors. If you have punches, if you have a die cutting system, so there's lots of things you can do there. And then I'm just going to add this. And my little girl, she's got white all around it, and she's not a girl, actually, it's a woman. And thinking that she actually might be the recipient of this letter, right, Miss Teresa? So I've got this. I chose her because she's got some yellow in it. And then I chose this card here. This has lots of reds and yellows, and we have red here, and we have yellows there. This also has some blue, so that would, you know, that might be good too. I'm going to just go ahead and cut a couple of these out and just kind of audition them and see which one I like the best. Now this would be a good job when I'm traveling or sitting in front of the TV to cut some of these cards up to use them and when I'm making different projects. So I could put this one right here. I like the yellow and I like the red, but I also like that, let's see, I also like that blue. I think I'm going to just go ahead and stick with that. And that would be my last element that I'm going to use, besides probably a little gem. And I'm just going to ink this up the outside. Okay. All right. So I'm thinking that is going to be plenty because it's already pretty busy with just the envelope. So I'm going to go ahead and take these apart and add some glue, and I'm just using PVA glue. I also like the art glitter glue. And let's see, I'm just gonna kind of go like this because I really don't want to mess with that. I really like that. And then I'm going to put some glue on the circle like that. Let's see. I think I'm gonna have her like this maybe. Yeah. Okay, so that is easy enough. I mean, you could mass produce these for sure because it only takes a couple of minutes for each one. I would definitely do like, you know, 3, 4, 5 envelopes at once. You could just lay them all out, get your card decks out, get your little stack of little people. You could use your pattern, your vintage sewing patterns. You know, a lot of us use those, the images from the pattern envelope, and those would be great on here as well. But if you could mass produce them and put, you know, 3 or 4 across your table, I think that would be a great way to spend a little time. Now I did pull some gems, and I was thinking maybe to put a blue right here because there's blue on the envelope on the card. So whenever I use any kind of stickers or gem, I like to just add glue because I don't trust the glue that is on it, even if they're brand new. I'm just afraid they're not going to stick, and that would be not a good deal. And I don't know why I'm using my fingers. I have one of the, pick tools, tweezer tools, whatever, and I just don't use them. I don't know why, and I should. So there you go. There is our little collage this morning from an old vintage envelope. But remember, you would not have to use a vintage envelope. You could do that yourself, right? So you could just get an envelope, ink up the outsides, maybe even, go like this with your dauber and just put some of that ink so it ages it. You could get some text from a book and just glue it on here to make it look like it's, a faux address. So there's lots of things that you can use to create these vintage envelopes without having the actual supplies. So I hope I've given you some ideas on this, and it's a quick project, but oh, they will look so great in journals. So I hope that if you like this video, if you have been inspired, if you've gotten any kind of ideas on this, if you could like and subscribe, I would greatly appreciate it. And I have a whole playlist of vintage projects, so go check that out. Or I'm sorry, not vintage, collage projects. So go click on that playlist and maybe get a little bit more inspiration. Thanks. Bye-bye.